What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. And this is Legendary Grandson Part 2. Last time we left off during third period on Sarato's Makuchiya's first school day, where suddenly Kakashi's daughter came into the room, of course extremely late, just how we know it from Kakashi. And the name I chose for her is Sugami Hatake. Yes. Moving on. She sat right next to Sarto since he was sitting alone at the very back of the room. And didn't say a word. The teacher, of course, not trying to mess with her, or Kakashi, didn't even ask why she's late, because he kind of expected it from Kakashi's daughter. So they carried on, and the day flew by as fast as the first few periods did. Nothing special happened that afternoon, but Sarto on his way home did notice that Sugami, which of course he knew since Naruto, as well as Boruto and Kakashi were good friends. And Sasuke. And I guess Naruto as well. Kakashi is just a good guy. He saw her training on a grass field, a large grass field. She was doing quite complex techniques, but he just carried on walking home. On the next day, the school day went a little bit different. They had sparring matches against one another to test out their abilities and for the teachers to see how strong the students are. First up was Sarto against Sugami, the two strongest students, or at least the two believed strongest students in their entire class. Their fight was quite memorable, even for the teachers. But Sarto, in the end, did lose. At the beginning, he tried to use Sage Mode, but was then caught off guard since he closed his eyes to concentrate faster and to get more energy. But Sugami hit him from the back. And from that point on, it was just not good for Sarto. After that, Sarto kept wary of Sugami. He didn't dislike her. He saw her more of a rival, which he wanted to beat, of course. He needed to make his ancestors proud. So he trained from that day on, every single day, for hours at a time. But only his siblings knew. He didn't even tell his parents. One day, whilst both of his siblings were watching him, which his brother was about, I'm gonna say 3 years younger than him, and his sister 5 years younger. The brother is called Minato. Of course, I think you can figure out why they called him Minato. Of course, Boruto decided that name in honor of his grandfather, the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze. And Sarto's sister is called Kanae, which, I don't know, I just like the name. So, they were both watching him when suddenly Sarada, their mother, came and saw them both watching Saruto train. But she put them all under genjutsu so they wouldn't notice her, because she wanted to see what happens if, for example, she threw a few kunai. And so Saruto dodged all of them, but knew, or at least thought he knew, that there were ninjas behind him. Perhaps trying to kidnap him? Or even worse. He quickly grabbed both of his siblings and ran as fast as he could, which is not the reaction that Saruto was expecting. She was expecting him to fight back, but I guess she was wrong. Saruto then often went to watch Saruto train. And one day, she even revealed herself to him and taught her more about the Sharingan that Saruto had already unlocked. He first learned about his abilities in the first stage, then the second, then the third. It took him only about half a year, about 6 months, to master all 3 Tomoe of his Sharingan. When one day, whilst training, he poured chakra into his eyes, but a little more than usual, and what happened was unexpected. Whilst one eye went to the 3 Tomoe Sharingan like usual, the other went white. Well, white-ish, at least. His pupil faded away, and what came out was his Sharingan. Sorry, not his Sharingan, his Byakugan. Suddenly, he saw the whole world in a different light. It was somewhat black and white, but he seemed to be able to look through the entire forest and scan it for chakra signatures. He saw the chakra networks of humans all the way through their limbs and bodies. And he had much more self-control. His anger and rage seemed to be controlled, and he wasn't furious anymore. He was much more calm, as if he had just meditated. He trained his Byakugan with Hinata, his grandmother, Naruto's husband. Sadly, her father, Hiyashi Hyuga, had passed. Well, it's not really. Well, yeah. He had passed since he was already quite old. So he wasn't around anymore to teach Saruto about the Byakugan. So she did, as the Byakugan princess. And technically, she would have become the new leader of the Hyuga, but Hanabi took that job, since Hinata married to Naruto and wasn't a full-fledged Hyuga anymore. So her little sister, Hanabi, took that job. So at this point, I'm gonna skim over the years a little bit, because I don't want to make this series too long, because I actually want to finish the series, right? Because I know that it's frustrating when I don't finish series, and I don't want to do that to you guys anymore. So, Saruto gets much stronger with a little bit of training together with Tsugumi, and they become good friends. Minato and Kane, they get stronger as well over the years, but not as much, of course, because they're not truly training yet. So then the exams come around. Saruto is about 12 now. And he of course passes quite easily. Very easily actually. Since he now has, well, a lot of chakra. No, he does not have Kurama. Rip Kurama, I'm sorry. Yeah. Anyways, Sugumi passes the test as well, and they have a grand time. They're then put into the same team of 3, which is Saruto, Sugumi, and I'm gonna say Shikamaru's grandson, which is Shikadai's son, which I'm gonna name Shikado. Yes, very original, I know. Right? Shikado is, of course, very smart and has the shadow paralysis and control jutsu, just like his father and grandfather. They do some easy missions, of course, with their team leader. Their team leader is still Konohamaru, but Konohamaru is much more experienced and much older. Kind of like Kakashi, but even older. Well, not Kakashi at this point, but Kakashi in the original series. But Konohamaru is older than him. So he's much more wiser than when he was training Boruto. And Konohamaru is actually only their leader because of a request from Sarada, the new Hokage, of course. Because she knew that Konohamaru is a very capable person to be training her son. And, of course, Saruto and Konohamaru knew each other quite well, so it just fit very perfectly. Since he was kind of an uncle to Saruto. They then got their first C-ranked mission. Now, of course, this wasn't the Land of Waves arc, because that was in the Naruto era, and this is far from the Naruto era. So, wasn't that. But it was a similar kind of mission where they protected some construction workers that were building a town hall for their small but growing village, which was currently flourishing through fishing and hunting, because they had special animals as well as some berries and fruits in the area that they resided in. It went without much hassle, although a few criminals tried to snatch the workers up and make them work for the criminals. But Saruto and his team, or rather I guess Konohamaru and his team, which of course, as you probably guessed, are now known as Team 7, protected the workers without much hassle. So they then returned back to Konoha, the Leaf Village, and Sarada is proud of her son, as well as Konohamaru, of course, because she knew that Saruto alone couldn't have grown this much as a shinobi without Konohamaru's aid, as well as his teammates, which even Sarada herself has grown to like quite a lot, especially Sugumi. Then, one day, whilst training, Saruto's eye seemed to switch again, from one being the Byakugan and the other the Sharingan. The Byakugan became a little lighter in color, and it became a weird sort of color. It wasn't a Tenseigan, of course. That is much harder to accomplish, but it seemed to be what Boruto had, the Jogan, an extremely powerful but mostly unknown dojutsu, which was only firstly discovered in Boruto's eye. But this is actually where I'm going to leave off the video. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe. See you in the next one. Peace.